Hi everybody. This is the video that I promised you about drop-down menus, but I've realized that there's something that is maybe more important and more appropriate for this moment. So I'm going to include drop-down menus at the end of this, but the thing we really need to look at is Flexboxes more than what we need to look at drop-down menus. So Flexboxes are an amazing way to manage layout. A great example of them is Google Classroom, where they lay out all those classes, and as you shrink up, they go down. Flexboxes are brilliant, and I realize we haven't really addressed them. So what I'm going to do is work here in this menu demo, and I'm going to change that to menu/flexbox demo. So with Flexboxes, what you need is a container that's going to have things that are displayed in Flex. So let's actually look at Classroom for a second. Notice that these are all positioned like this, and when I shrink up, they go down in nice, well-ordered ways. That can be a powerful way to go. Really efficient and clean in how it displays elements. So what you need is a container that's going to hold things that will be displayed with that flex ability. So I'm going to start with a div, and I'm going to say class equals flex container. It's kind of a habit of mine to say that. And I'm going to have articles in there. And they're going to have an H1 that just says heading. I'm not really concerned about the actual content at this point. I'll do a paragraph that says this is a paragraph under the heading that is the content of the article. And then I'm going to close that article, and I'm going to copy and paste it a number of times. So this flex container is going to contain a bunch of articles. And if I run this way, they show up vertically as we would expect. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to put a border around the flex container. Let's go with kind of a brown look. Yeah, let's go into the purples, kind of like that. There we go. So we can see now that that is the flex container. And then we want the articles inside it. Notice I'm using that arrow so that if any of my articles contain articles, they probably won't, but if they do, then those won't apply in the same way. I'm going to give them a background color of, let's start in the purple range, and we're going to go maybe really light, almost gray on that, I think is where we're going to go. That might be too, maybe I should contrast that more. And I'm going to give them a margin of 10 pixels right now. There we go. We start to see how that's going to look. And I kind of like to do a border radius on those. I'll also give that a 10 pixel border radius. And then that, of course, needs a padding because those, I'm going to make these, give things plenty of space. Okay. So that's how those things go. And then what I do to make it a flex box, the first thing I do is I say display flex. And that is going to make them go side to side. And then I can do flex flow row space wrap. And now they start to set up their sizes depending a little bit on how big this actually is. I can also say that I want to let these things change their size. So we'll talk about what that means in a second. So now as things change, they can grow and shrink to fit the available size. Now that also means that they might grow too far. Notice how it's automatically making adjustments for me. So I can also say It's supposed to be able to say flex basis. Let's say 200 pixels. We'll see what that does for us. Okay. Notice that when they get to about that size, then they have to. So that's about the minimum width that they can go, and that's kind of what that flex basis is designed to do. I could also drop, so the key pieces to this, let's review that first. The container, that is this part out here that has this little thin purple border, gets a display of flex and a flex flow of row wrap. And then the items inside get maybe a flex of 1 if you want them to be able to change, and a flex basis that would be the minimum. You can also do a min width or a min width on that so that they can change size, but once they get to that min width or that flex basis, it's going to go ahead and shift down. We'll launch this here so that we can see it. All right. So it fills up the space nicely and all kinds of great stuff. So that's the basics of Flexboxes. There's some other stuff that we can do, and I'm going to post a link to a really great article about this along with this video. Is that we can also, let's say I want this one class equals main, and then .main, I'm going to give a flex of 3. What that means is that as things change, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a border of 2 pixels solid black so that we can identify it easily. There we go. And I reload this. There's the one. And what should be happening, and we see it here, no we don't. This should be more specific. We'll launch that. Notice that that one is getting bigger than those. So what happens with the main is that it changes at a rate faster than the rest. It seems to have lost its flex basis there. So we'll give that one a flex basis of 300 pixels. There we go. Nice. So we can see that its size, it gets more space than the others because of that flex 3. More often you see one that's like a flex 2. And I very rarely use this feature, let's be honest. So that's pretty good. There are other things that you can do with the Flexboxes. You can change the order of the items. So we can say order 1, and that changes where it goes in the thing. That puts it back where it should be, and if we say this is going to be an order of 2, now that main one comes there. So I can change the order of things based on that, and that's where we start getting into the ability to manipulate things with the idea of a media query. So on a small screen, things will change exactly how they're going to go. So the other thing that we can do is start doing a layout based on this. And all of that is going to come up if we go Flexboxes CSS. This one right here is a really good one, csstricks.com, and it goes through sort of in depth the kinds of changes that you can make. I tend to work on these shorthands a lot. And there's this stuff with the line items that we can do. It's more than I'm going to get into in this particular video, but there's a lot that you can do on that. So that would be worth taking some time on. So I think what we'll do now is we'll start messing around with the menus now that we've got a Flexbox demo taken care of. Okay, and I think I'll take care of that in a separate video. Thanks, everybody.